as we know, the focus to jobs and the economy, but it's also facing a major blow-up regarding the KSM trial here in New York City. I think it would be a huge mistake for the Obama administration to backpedal on this, to side with Mayor Bloomberg over their own attorney general. For more, let's bring in our panel tonight on this discussion and more. Bill Press, nationally syndicated radio talk show host, and Ron Christie, Republican strategist and former special assistant to Vice President Dick Cheney. All right, I've stated my piece here tonight. I mean, I think that it's a sign of weakness. Bill Press, where do you stand on this? Should the president back his attorney general, or maybe we should even be viewing it that way? What do you think?
Ed, I'm afraid that he's already caved in. I think the administration's made that decision. I agree with you. I think it's a wrong decision. And, you know, I blame it on Mayor Bloomberg. I also blame it on a lot of cowardly Democrats in New York State, politicians that I thought would stand tough and tall here. And instead, you know, they're letting one terrorist dictate, or alleged terrorist, dictate where we hold a trial in this country. There's no reason this trial cannot be or should not be held in New York. And I want to point out, under 8 years under George Bush and Dick Cheney, 119 cases of terrorists were brought to trial in federal courts, including Richard Reed, the shoe bomber in Boston, Zacharias Moussaoui, the terrorist al-Qaeda guy in Alexandria, Virginia. No disruptions. They worked. They're in prison now. We could do it with KSM, too. Well, and we should, because of who we are as a nation.
Oh, I think there's moral high ground. This is the way
Absolutely.
to go. And what happened to all this New York toughness? And the expertise of security is here in this city far more than it is anywhere else. But I think the last two guys that tried to hit us, one guy tried to put his shoe on fire, the other guy tried to set his pants on fire. So they haven't been very successful in trying to hit us. Let's go to Ron Christie. Ron, where do you stand on this? Why is it the right thing, in your opinion, to move the trial out of New York City?
Well, Ed, I think it's the right reason to move it out of New York City for a variety of reasons. First of all, I think the safety and the security of the citizens of New York is paramount. You're talking about a $200 million price tag for security in the city of New York. That's very expensive. We can't afford it in these times. In fact, the police commissioner said he couldn't guarantee the safety. Why spend $200 million a year when we spend about that much on the detention facility in Guantanamo Bay, where we can try them without that expense to the American taxpayer? That's the first point.
Okay, can the police commissioner guarantee our safety tonight? Can we ever have our safety guaranteed at all? And Ron, if this is about grabbing the moral high ground and putting our judicial system on showcase for the rest of the world on how we fight terrorism, doesn't this, Ron, make us look weak and afraid and scared and running?
Absolutely not. I think that the United States president has to take a look and say, what's in the best safety and security interests of this country? And don't forget, Ed, we passed the Military Commission Act back in 2006 that specifically labels individuals as unlawful enemy combatants if they have an affiliation with al-Qaeda. We have the facilities and military institutions, not just in Guantanamo, but around the world, where we can try these people on a military facility
and it looks militaristic. It looks militaristic and strong-handed. That's my issue.
That was the law of the land that was passed by an overwhelming majority of Republicans and Democrats that said this is the law of the United States. So it's not militaristic. It's following the law of the land.
Ed, let's get a word in here. Look, we either believe in the American system of justice or we don't. And again, why was it? I don't know why Ron didn't resign when he was on Dick Cheney's staff if he's so against his policy when they followed it for 8 years. It is the right policy for America. It makes us look tough and just to the world. We believe in due process or we don't. Why are we afraid of this one guy? And if security was a problem in New York City, what about Alexandria, Virginia? What about Boston?
Yeah.
What are we afraid of?
Why don't we all move out of New York? Let's just get the hell out of here. I mean, we're going to get hit again.
You guys are missing the fundamental point. The fundamental point, and I think this is also illustrated by Scott Brown's victory in Massachusetts, the American people do not want Miranda and constitutional provisions afforded to unlawful enemy combatants. Why are we giving unlawful enemy combatants who are trying to kill Americans civil rights and constitutional protections? It's absurd.
I think you're missing the fundamental point, which is who we are as Americans.
Exactly.
And you want to throw away the Constitution because we were attacked on September 11th. The American people don't want to do that.
Bill Press,
Let's
Ron
be proud
Christie,
of who we are.
Stick around, fellas. We got more coming. Stay with us. All right, great discussion. Coming up, when it comes to John Edwards,